Good evening, citizens of the Global Network. I am Zola, your dedicated anchor, reporting live from the heart of our vibrant metropolis.
All right, good day from the East Bay. So I have this question. If Republicans helped to abolish slavery and the Democrats were the proponents of slavery, how is it today both parties, for the most part, have switched up platforms? So here we goes. I got Joy down here. I think she's cute.
The switch you're describing is a well-documented process in American history called political realignment. It wasn't a single event, but a gradual shift over about a century, driven by changing economic priorities and, most significantly, the civil rights movement. Here's the breakdown of how the parties evolved from the mid-1800s to today. 1. The Civil War era, 1854 to 1877. Republicans, formed as a coalition of anti-slavery activists, modernizers, and ex-Whigs. Under Abraham Lincoln, they fought the Civil War to preserve the Union and eventually end slavery through the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. They were the party of big government, using federal power to build railroads and end slavery, and the industrial North. Democrats primarily represented the agrarian South and white working-class immigrants in northern cities. Southern Democrats were the architects of secession, and later the Jim Crow laws that enforced segregation. 2. The economic shift, 1890s to 1930s. As the U.S. industrialized, the parties began to shift their focus to economic regulation. Republicans became more closely aligned with big business, laissez-faire, hands-off economics, and the wealthy elite. Democrats, under leaders like William Jennings Bryan and later Franklin D. Roosevelt, FDR, the party moved toward populism. FDR's New Deal during the Great Depression transformed the Democrats into the party of social safety nets and government intervention to help the poor. This drew black voters in northern cities who had historically voted Republican toward the Democratic Party for economic reasons. 3. The Civil Rights Big Switch, 1940s to 1960s. This is the period where the racial platforms flipped entirely. The Democratic split. Northern Democrats began pushing for civil rights, creating a massive rift with the Dixiecrats, conservative Southern Democrats. When President Lyndon B. Johnson, a Democrat, signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, he famously remarked that the party had lost the South for a generation. The Republican response: seeing an opening to win over disgruntled white Southern voters, Republicans began the Southern strategy. They shifted their platform to emphasize states' rights, law and order, and a smaller federal government, messages that appealed to Southerners who felt the federal government was overreaching by enforcing integration. 4. Final realignment, 1980s, present. By the time Ronald Reagan was elected in 1980, the transition was largely complete. The South, once the solid South for Democrats, became the stronghold of the Republican Party. Black voters and Northern liberals, once the core of the early GOP, became the most loyal constituencies of the Democratic Party. Ideology. Republicans became the party of social conservatism and small government, while Democrats became the party of social progressivism and larger government intervention. Summary table era. Republican platform, Democratic platform, 1860s, anti-slavery, big federal power, pro-slavery.